Hey everyone, I'm Carly. I use they, them, or she, her pronouns. I'm a cross stitcher, a knitter, a spinner, and a natural dyer, and this is my FlossTube. Welcome. It is nearing the end of October, so I have some crafts that I've been working on that I'd like to catch you up on. I also forgot to include a bunch of stuff in my last video, even though I filmed it in 3 parts each time. Still managed to forget, but here we are. Before I jump in, I just want to show you my earrings. So my friend Cassandra, who I made Our Flag Means Death cross stitch for, you saw my last video, she knew that I was stitching that for her. So if it wasn't enough that she so thoughtfully curated an incredible selection of fan fictions for me to read and continues to send my way. She wanted to do a crafty thing herself. So this is actually upcycled leather from Fab Scrap, which I've spoken about before. It's like a fabric recycling and material recycling facility. It's got a couple of different locations, and she drew her cat Gemini and then laser printed him onto leather and then turned it into earrings. I don't even know what to say. So that's that. True, yeah. How do I even follow up with that with everything I've been working on? I don't know. Crafty friends are just the best. I guess I can continue with what I'm wearing. I made this. This is the father-son pullover by Peace Fleece. I used a local-ish to me yarn. It's a Jacob wool, which I think is a kind of sheep. Let me show you the full enchilada here. Ta. I love this thing so much. I wear it almost every day. It's the time of year where most days I can get away with doing that. Other days it's like, it is a little warm, but I can't take it off. I adore it. I usually wear like a plaid collared shirt underneath. There's something with like a higher collar just to keep some of the itchiness off, but it is like softening up the more that I wear it, and I just adore it so much. This is my second ever sweater that I've completed. The first one I did was like a top down kind of in one piece in the round. This was like a back and forth flat. It was knit flat, and then I had to seam it together. So there are things I would do differently next time, but I'm glad I got to try a different construction and also just like work with like such a rusticy woolly wool. This is definitely a wardrobe staple, and to have made something so big that I like is really exciting. So this is why we knit. So the knitting shop where I work, I shouldn't call it a knitting shop. We do all kinds of like fiber-based crafting, and even more than just like fiber. We've done a couple of different basket weaving classes this semester, I guess you could say, and I attended one. So this is my little, I think it was called a keeper basket. The design is from a time when shelves weren't really a thing yet, and so you would just hang your stuff. You'd hang a basket on a hook and like put all your stuff inside. So this hangs like on the door to our vestibule, and it's just got like my fingerless mitts and my hats, just the things I like tend to grab quickly, and I like going and seeing it every day as I walk by. This was really fun. I didn't super follow the instructions correctly, so there is like a right side and a wrong side to the, I think it's called read, and mine is mostly wrong side facing out, so it's very spiky. But as long as I don't like grab the outside, it's fine, and it's not like that pokey. It's just, it looks like it's shedding a bit, but again, just have to make another one, I guess. Another workshop I attended was a punch needle workshop, and that was so fun. I just kind of did that one on a whim and haven't worked on it since, really, but I think it's a really cool way to use up like scrap yarn. So I'm glad that I have at least like the basics down. So if that's something I end up doing in future, I will, you know, have the tools handy. This is my piece so far. So you can kind of see on the back, we traced a drawing. The instructor had printed out a few drawings that she had done, and we transferred them to this, which is like monk's cloth is what it's called. So it's kind of like really big cross-stitch fabric, or very soft and thick. So this is like a super thick but soft Aida, kind of, if I were to compare it. And then yeah, this is actually the correct side. So you punch on this side, and then this is what it ends up looking like. So kind of, you know, 3D. And you can, you know, punch on either side if you want some of your stuff to be more flat than others. But it was really fun playing with lots of different kinds of yarn. Yarn of different, like, varied thickness, yarn I haven't worked with that we carry in the shop, that now I'm like, ooh, I would like to knit with you, that kind of thing. Again, I haven't gone back to this since the workshop, but I've been working on a lot of other crafts, so that's partially why. But I really did enjoy it, and I think I will come back to it eventually. All right. The third workshop that I also attended was a rigid heddle weaving workshop. So I've showed you in the past something I made on my rigid heddle with no prior instruction. I used YouTube videos to figure it out, and I was like, I need some guidance. So I brought my loom and attended the class, and I have not finished that project either. My loom is in the corner. It's got half a dishcloth on it, and we warped the loom enough so that we'll be able to get 2 dishcloths out of it. I just still need to kind of set up a space that feels like appropriate for weaving. The table that I am on right now is like very wobbly, so to like, you know, weave, you have to, it's called beading the yarn when you pull basically like packing the yarn down after you weave it across, and it shakes the table a lot, so I don't really like all the like rattling and the kind of, it doesn't feel very secure, so still trying to find like the right space for this particular craft. But again, glad to have the basics down. It was really fun to see all the different colors that other people were choosing, and yeah, I think it'll be a good, once I get some of the other techniques down with that as well, I think that's going to be a really good like gift giving option, because who doesn't want a dishcloth, you know? I can make a lot of them for the holidays next year. All right, so now I just have, I have a finished knitting project. I'm wearing it. That's why I forgot about it. And it is another pair of socks. I finished these today, actually. So this is the sock pattern that I've been using since I was like 15. It's a 2 at once on a circular needle. This is just some leftover Rosa Pomar yarn that I had. I used this in my Stephen West shawlography last year, and this I made into a hat. So I was just kind of using up the scraps. I was going to do the toe in the kind of seafoam color, but forgot. This is my like knitting on the subway pattern. They just like having socks with me. I did something a little bit different this time. I did a ribbing all the way around and down. Usually I just do like a ribbed cuff, but I want to try and start making socks for family members. And I have family members who have bigger feet and legs than I do, so I wanted to see what it would be like to do a ribbing and see how much the sock would stretch. So I think I am going to have to just like cast on more stitches and hope for the best, because I do want them to be a surprise, but I might have to make some adjustments to my basic pattern, which is fine. That's what you got to do. Next I have a sample of some of the natural dyeing I've been doing with the guild. I'm in a local craft guild and I lead our natural dye group. And at our meetings, I've been bringing pieces of a white cotton bedspread or bed sheet set. So I'll bring like a pillowcase to this meeting and like a top sheet to this meeting. And I've just been like dyeing it in parts. I keep forgetting to like assemble them so I can show them for this video. Also, I like am sleeping on them, so I'm not going to show those today, but they do look really cool. The top sheet, actually, we had an indigo day at the shop and my coworker very kindly dyed my top sheet. So it's this beautiful like pale blue. And then this past weekend we did like a flower pounding with stuff we were growing in the dye garden. And I used that top sheet as like our tablecloth. So there's some really cool like patterns and colors on it right now. This is what I came out with, was this little kind of handkerchief. I think this was in the past we dyed using like turmeric or yellow onion skins or something, and I've just kind of kept it around. So I brought it to this meeting. There's indigo leaves, sage, this was purple perilla, marigolds are these kind of darker yellow. This was a chrysanthemum. And I think there's some yellow or black walnut kind of mashed around in there too. But it was fun just to experiment. A couple people came and brought just like scraps of fabric to work with, and it was fun to see all the different designs that they came up with and what different colors ended up on the cloth. So yeah. Okay. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Whenever this goes up, we'll probably be like well past the MCAL date for Steep and West Twists and Turns 2022 shawl, but just in case, spoiler alert, I am participating in the knit along, and these are my colors. You can't really tell in this light, but this is like a sort of dark blue. And we only had one of this color. I wanted it because it fits with this yarn that was dyed specifically for our shop. So we only had one of each of these left. And I was like, oh, great. I knew we were getting another shipment of this blue, but look how different these dye lots are. I don't know if you can tell, but this one is much darker. So I've had to be kind of creative using both of these in the shawl. But this was kind of my jumping off point. And then this yarn has a little bit of, there's some like flecks of this sort of orangey in it. Although they're all different bases this in brands. This is from Ritual Dyes. The blue is O Wool, and this is Wandering Flock, which I haven't worked with yet, and I love it. It is so soft. So I'm really enjoying like the feel of this shawl this year. Last year was also really fun. I think I was more focused on like keeping up with the clues every week, and I felt like I didn't really get to enjoy the feel of the yarn while I was knitting because it was more about the speed. This time I get to focus a little bit on the process because I knew I was going to be behind for just it's just busier for me this year. So I will show you what I have currently. All right. So I've done clue 1, which is this like chevron-y thing and these loops. Clue 2 is in multiple parts. It includes like these bat wings and these cables. So I've done the cable on this side. I need to do the cables on this side. I love cables. I don't do them as much as I would like. They're so fun. And I've seen the follow-up clue, which looks really interesting, and I think it's going to be pretty easy to get done quickly. So this week is when the last clue is released, and I'm kind of sad that the knit-along's coming to an end. It also means it's like almost November, and I'm going to have to start doing my gift crafting. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'm going to finish this. I do plan to work on it this week. So this is super soft. I don't know if I like these two colors together very much. They're not ones I would have picked necessarily. I do really like this with the lighter blue. Yeah, choosing colors for these mystery shawls is a really interesting exercise because I think sometimes I tend to go, I mean, I've only done it twice, but my focus is like, okay, what looks good together? Not like what are colors I would wear. That does factor into it, but sometimes I'm trying to pick just from like the shop where I work and like what's in stock at the time. So that's it is like a fun challenge to work with like what's there. And I guess I'm getting better at it. But yeah, I'm excited for a time when I pick colors that I like all of them a lot, very much. And they're ones that I would typically wear. The last thing I have to share that I've been working on is the one and only cross stitch I have for this episode. And it is Jack's Bash by Plum Street. Pattern, photo of the pattern. And I've been 25/7ing this month. Last year when I was doing the mystery knit along, I felt like I missed out on spooky stitching. So I was like, all right, we're gonna, pick one and do it. So this is the one. And it's been coming along really well. There are days that I do more than 25 minutes on it, and days that I don't do any, and then I make up for it on the subsequent days. But I just am so impressed with how far along this is coming. I am tempted to think I might be able to finish it this month. I think I am running out of steam though, so if it doesn't get done this year, I'm okay with putting it away and working on it next September or October. The part I think I'm going to probably leave definitely is leave off for now is the text right here, which is just something cute about like, oh, it's our friend's birthday and here's some like autumn words. I am fine with those and I might keep them, but if I don't work on this until next year, I might find a quote that I like more before then. So that'll be a possibility too. So the last thing that I have to share is my latest crafty tattoo. It's based on a label from Rosa Pomar. The yarn is called Joao, and I have to reveal it. Okay. Ta-da! My arm is a little red because of the wool, but this is my little guy. And this sheep reminds me of the cat I live with named Duck. She's on my shoulder often with very big eyes. And then this reminds me of the cat Jabber that I live with because he's a little black kitty and he likes to hang out, but he doesn't want you to touch him, or like he won't let you hold him like that. Although I hold him anyway. All right, that's all I have for October, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey everyone, it is the very first day of December, so here is a kind of November wrap up for you. I've got knitting and cross stitch, whips and finishes, so yeah, let's get started. Finishes. Let's start with cross stitch. I have a really big finish that I'm super excited about. This was one of the most fun designs that I've ever stitched on. I found it in 2020, but didn't start it until last November, I think, maybe earlier. It is House of Christmas by Galliana. This is stitched 2/1 on a 14 count fiddler's cloth using DMC Jingle Bells. I'll give you a little close up. Dun, 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 dun. It's a little folded at the bottom, but this one was one of those patterns where I had so much fun doing it that I was like sad that I was going to be finishing it. Like I was excited because I really want to frame it and be able to hang it up. But I had so much fun working on it, I didn't want it to be over. So that one was really cool. Another sort of Christmas themed finish. I've really been focusing on 25/7ing the past few months, which is when you stitch for about 25 minutes every single day, or like put 25 stitches in, or whatever arbitrary number you want. And that's really helped me feel so good because it's sort of encouraged me to focus on my stitching and prioritize it in different ways. I've been really heavily knitting the past few months, which is fine, and I love that too, but God, I missed stitching. So here's another result of that. Let me show you the pattern first. I'm making a Prairie Schooler Santa pillow for my mom every year. That's something I decided to do last year, started as a tradition, because they're pretty quick, they're cute, and I think it's a really easy way to experiment with different skin tone floss variations, and also maybe some beading. So this is the final product. This is a 32? It's a 32 or 36 count if it's me. That's kind of all I stitch on. Linen. And I did do some beading. I put little beads where the berries are. So this one I chose because my parents really like bird watching, and the state bird where I'm from is a cardinal. So that narrows it down. I was just watching one of Sharky Stitcher's videos, and I think she mentioned that the state bird, and I think she's in Ohio, was a cardinal. And I was like, great, same. But yeah, I have to finish it into a pillow, and I'll just stuff it with, last year I stuffed it with scraps from a quilt that I've kind of been making for a few years, and I'll probably use, I have my Ort jar here, with little snips from yarn that I've been working on projects with this year, so might fill it with that. Okay, next finish, I know, right? This is Octopus's Garden by Blackbird. This is my very first Blackbird that I've done. And I mentioned, I think previously, that I wanted to do this as a tribute to the Raffi cover. I have feelings about the Beatles. So I was going to change the date to 1990 whatever when his cover came out, but I completely forgot. So that's fine. My dad likes the Beatles, and he got to watch me stitching some of it, so it's fine. This is my final result. This is, again, an either 32 or 36 count linen. It's Tarnish, I believe, by Picture This Plus. And I just pulled from Stash. I used DMC and Fancy Floss that I had, closest match I could find. I just really wanted to stitch it. I did eyelet stitches for the first time, though, those little flowers on the tree. Yeah, they were surprisingly not difficult, and they were very cute, and it felt like a good way to prepare for the chatelaine that I will be starting in the new year. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm almost done kitting it up. I have 2 more Glorianas that I need to source, so yeah, it's happening. But yeah, really pleased with that. Oh, and I think I said before, but I blended for the waves. I made my own blend. Just want to celebrate that a little bit. Okay, I think those are all my cross stitch finishes. I'll show you some knitting finishes, and then we'll do whips for both. I have basically 2 knitting finishes. And the first one is a hat that a friend of mine, the friend who was on the sheep farm that I showed some footage of, she is making patterns and kits for markets and stuff, and using reclaimed fibers. So I've talked about the organization Fab Scrap before. They've got a couple different locations, and one of the things that you can donate or purchase there is recycled yarn. So she picked up a ton of yarn from there and is making these little kits. So this is I think it's called the Little Baby Bear hat. I don't think it's on Ravelry or anything, but basically you just knit a tube and then you stitch the top shut, and then you tie little ears on it. So this is the smallest size. She's got it in a few different sizes, and yeah, I owe her some pattern edits. She asked me to like look at the pattern and write some notes, and also I got to make sure my gauge is right because I didn't do a gauge swatch. So I'm slacking as a test knitter, but that's okay. I think it's cute. My cousin's having a baby next year, so this will be for her. I might need to retie the ears though, they're kind of small. And then I'm going to count this as a finish. I won't put it in Ravelry as a finish until I've stitched the toes shut, but I do have some socks that I made for my mom. This is the yarn, and I'm sure I could find the label, but I lost it. I also, I don't know anything about this brand. I feel comfortable sharing the brands that I use from the shop where I work because my boss, the owner of the shop, she like is very thoughtful about sourcing, making sure that, you know, the sheep are treated correctly, the people who work there are treated well. There's like low environmental impact with some of that. So, you know, I kind of just like buy it and don't even think about it in terms of like the carbon footprint or whatever. Or I can buy it knowing like it's having a minimal impact. With other yarn, I need to get in the habit of doing my research ahead of time. This was sort of an impulse by my mom, and I happened to go into the shop. She saw this yarn, and I was like, if you want it, I will make socks from it. So, yeah. Anyway, here they are. They're done. They're freaking done. I literally just need to stitch the toes shut, but we'll put this in the finish section anyway. Oh, hang on. So they're like this jewel tone. It's kind of a barber pole stripe, but when it's knit up, it just kind of fades really nicely. Except here where the yarn was broken in the skein and they just switched it right to the, anyway, whatever. A little difficult to see them right now just because of the way that I'm holding them, but maybe I can get some footage of them on her feet or my own feet when I'm finally done with them. So I'm using the same sock pattern I've used my whole life. It's 2 socks on 1 circular needle, and I've been experimenting with ribbing all the way down rather than just the cuff. The last pair I made, which are on my feet right now, I love them. I wear them every single day as slippers. I did ribbing through to the toe, and I didn't really like how that looked. So with this one, I didn't do ribbing on the toe. I want to do more socks as gifts, maybe. So I'm trying lots of different techniques to see sort of what that could be like, to make them stretchier for different people who I might not have access to their feet to check and make sure they'll fit as the process is going. So, all right, great. Okay, whips. I think I've only got 1 cross stitch whip, and then I'll show you a UFO actually for knitting, because it's allowed now. The Stephen West MCal Mystery Knit Along. I did not like how my colors were looking, so I finished the section I was on, and then I was like, I'm just going to put it away. Maybe I'll like it in the future. I might need to just rip it out and start over and do my colors differently, or just use this yarn for something else. I did the thing where I wove my ends in as I was going, trying to convince myself that I liked it and that I would keep it and la la la, and I don't like it. So hopefully I learned from this once again. Don't weave your ends in until you're done with the garment, because ripping this out is going to be a pain, but it's fine. I did have fun making it, and I don't, regret doing this at all. I got to try some yarn that I hadn't used before, and I loved it. And I also just got to try some new techniques, which is kind of like my goal when I'm doing a Stephen West, as if I've done more than one. But this is what it looks like so far. So while I was working on it, because it was October, I kept getting comments like, oh, is it a Halloween thing? Because this looks like black and orange. but it's like kind of turquoise and orange. And I had an issue where we didn't have enough of one of the colors, so I had to wait for a new shipment. The dye lot wasn't the same, so there's like 2 different kinds of turquoise in there. One of them's much darker, which I didn't like, so I wanted it to go with the pops of turquoise that are in this one. This is like a shop exclusive, so we carry this color only. It's for the shop where I work. And I wanted to use it because it's pretty, and there was only one of those left. But, you know, c'est la vie. I got to use Wandering Flock for the first time, though, and whew, it is nice. Ugh, these cables were super fun, too. That's what I'm bummed about, is, like, some of these parts, it's really just the chevron part where I'm like, not a fan. And there's no way, just the way that it's constructed, I can't, like, salvage the panels on the sides. I have to like rip out the entire thing, which is not something I want to do. So I'm just putting it away, and I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe I'll come back to it in the future, but for now it's just going to live in this zippered bag where I'm not even going to look at it or think about it, and that's that. It's a great color of green. Okay. So, cross-stitch whip. I have been 25/7ing-ish the Blue Flowers Butterfly Garden. I realized recently, this isn't true anymore because I finished Octopus's Garden, but I had 3 whips with the word garden in them. I had Octopus's Garden, Butterfly Garden, Over the Garden Wall, and then I had like a couple of other ones. So this is the one I've been working on this month. I do actually have another one. I just need to find it. Oh, there it is. But this one is really fun. It's all DMC. I think there's an anchor conversion, and I'm stitching it on a 32 count Lugana from Fortnite. And yeah, I just kind of like focus on a butterfly a day or every 2 days, and it's coming along. It's fun for color completing. So it blows my mind how much I can get done 25/7ing, or like how much progress I can see. So that's super motivating, and it just feels really good to be able to work on something that's not knitting sometimes. So that's one that I am actively working on this month. I'm kind of a monogamous stitcher now, I guess, at least at this kind of phase, which is fun. I feel like it's helping me balance all of my craft loves, because I'm definitely not a monogamous crafter. My other cross stitch whip, this is one that I was 25/7ing in October. Yeah. And that's the reason the M cowl was the reason that I started 25/7ing, because last year when I was knitting it, I didn't get to do any spooky stitching, and I was really sad. So I was like, okay, like pick one, and then you can make sure you have some intentional time. Jack's Bash by Plum Street. That's what it looks like. And I'm stitching from Stash with this on a 32 count Lugana from Fortnite. I've just about completed the border. There's like one color I don't have that I need to fill in a couple places, but I was stoked by how much I got done. Making the people, making these little or vases thingies, big things. Yeah, so there's just some scenery to kind of put in, and then like a quote down here, which is relevant to the scene, but if I find a different one I like, then I'm gonna put it in. I don't know if I'll work on this before next Halloween, but it was a good one to work on during that month. So if I work on it next year during October, I'm sure I'll finish it. But yeah, so those are all my cross stitch whips. I've got presently one knitting whip, and then I have a crochet finish as well. So, like I said, trying to make socks for people. So these are socks I'm making for my brother. I'm doing 2 at a time, but I'll just show you one because it's easier. I'm using O Wool by, O Wash Fingering is the base by O Wool. And this color is Juniper Berry. And then I've got some gray left over from previous projects. That's actually from my MCAL from last year. So I'm trying to use up some scraps. These will hopefully be for one of my brothers, and then if I finish this year, I'm going to try and make another pair for my other brother. They might be gifts for next year. We'll see. But this is a great like subway knitting. I can go do a few rounds while I'm like on my way places, and it's really fun. So I'm ribbing all the way down like I did with my mom's socks, and I'll do the toe in gray. I also made these a bigger size. I sneaky got everybody in my family shoe size, but I don't know how large their calves are, so hopefully it fits. If not, it's fine. It did affect, so the heel that this pattern calls for is called Eye of the Partridge, and it didn't work with like the number of stitches that I had. So I mean, it's still cushiony. The idea is that it like has more fortification because this part of the sock gets a lot of wear and tear. So that's something I'll need to think about the next time I do it is just adjusting that portion when I increase the number of stitches for the circumference. So, but these ones are just about done. It takes a long time. It takes longer for me to do the ribbing version. So, but I wanted it to be able to stretch to fit my brother's foot just in case. So I'm a little bit tempted to not do that for the other brother. And then maybe they can like mix and match depending on which ones fit the other's feet. I don't know. We'll see. All right. My crochet finish. I don't have this with me, but I'll have some footage. The yarn shop where I work, we did a, for Small Business Saturday, we were, a portion of our, what we raised that weekend is going to the National Network for Abortion Funds. And to kind of like show our support and promote the event, we, as a shop, crocheted a tree wrap. We've done tree wraps for different events as well. One of my coworkers did one for Pride earlier this year. And I just want to be clear, like the wrap doesn't stay on for long. Like it's, you know, we respect the tree. I always get a little nervous when I see tree wraps because yarn bombing in that way was like really big for a while, but then the yarn would just stay on the tree and like that's not good for the tree. But these are, it's like not by the roots, and it does come off. The Pride one we only kept up for June. This one I'm not sure how long it's going to stay, but it was really fun. We used yarn that was donated. We have a little free fiber library, kind of like those little free book libraries you might see, but this one is for yarn and fiber and other like crafty things. So this was all yarn that had been donated for that. And I worked on this a lot when I was in the shop. I'm going to count this as a finish for me. My coworkers did work on it, and we also had some people from the community who like came into the shop and saw what we were doing, and they did a few rows. But a lot of it was myself. And it was really fun. I was a little bit like bored of the crochet, just like back and forth after a while, because I don't know how to do anything else, but I have some patterns picked out that I really want to practice, and so I can learn some new stitches, because it was really fun ultimately. I liked switching colors and like just kind of playing around with it. So but yeah, last thing I will show you, one moment please. So I guess my thing now is like getting like crafty or stitchy related tattoos. I don't have any planned for a while now. Maybe one, but this is the last like crafty one for a while. This right up behind me is also to do with the shop. It was our 3rd anniversary earlier this year, and my friend Richie designed this bandana. In each corner there's a different hand doing a different craft, and I picked the one that's holding the needle so I can have a cross-stitch related craft tattoo, and I love it. I love it. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be, but it's perfect. And it's right by my little shepherd guy for my knitting. So anyway, that's all I have for you for November. I will see you later. Bye. Hi, it's December now. It's like almost the end of December. I've done 0 stitching because I've just been making socks and hats. Yeah, this is going to be pretty quick and a little jostly because I'm holding my computer. This is the situation. That's my lap. And that's on my left. So I'm going to try and make it quick. What have I done? I've just finished this. I barely finished. I've still got the needles attached. I need to sew this up. This is the Firewood Cap, I think, by Lindsay Fowler. It's in her new book. She came to our shop recently, did a little pop-up with her friend Gabby from Plies and Hellhounds, and at the end of the day there were only 2 copies of the book left, and it was just such a fun time that I got the book and had them both sign it. I also got a lot of Gabby's yarn, and I'm really excited to use it. It's exactly like my colors, a lot of dark earthy tones. Beautiful. This is not Gabby's yarn. This is from United States of Fiber, and it's it's from her singles bar, so it's just like a one-of-a-kind worsted. It's so soft, and the reason I made this hat is because I'd already made one with Scout from Calborn Woolens in a dark navy for my dad, and it's a little bit short, so I brought it back home after Christmas to kind of fix it, make it a little bit longer, and hopefully get that back to him soon. So this is my second attempt, and I modified the pattern a little bit, just added a couple rows in between these 2 stripes here, just because I wanted to use as much of this yarn as possible. And yeah, I like it. It's gives a little twist to the classic ribbed hat, because it's got these stripes going across. On top of that, I knit 3 pairs of socks in the past couple of months, 2.5 months, and I'm going to take a break for a while. I found out that my brothers have the same circumference of feet as I do, so I didn't need to make them as big as I did, but it's fine. One brother received a kind of a crimson-y sock with a gray heel and cuff, and then the youngest brother got scrappy socks with purple and green and yellow and gray. So all of these socks have gray thread or gray yarn from a shawl I did last year, Shawlography by Stephen West. So they all have something shared in between them. And that is, I was using wool in the fingering weight. And yeah, I am so excited to get back to stitching. I finished the pillow for my mom, the little Santa pillow. I stuffed it with some fabric scraps, so it looks a little different than the one I made last year, but I kind of like that it's different. And they'll probably all be different. I'm just trying different techniques with them as the years go by. Oh, the other big project, I made catnip toys for all of my friends. Everyone I know just about owns a cat, and that was my gift this year. So I hand-stitched all the cat's initials into some fabric, and then I used a sewing machine to sew them up, and I stuffed them using orts, which was kind of cool to get to do that. So I was using recycled fabric and recycled stuffing and just my regular DMC floss for the stitching. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye.